I would say how I was able to find my purpose was when I did some reflection on what I've done, what of the journey, right? And I think we all lived to that point in response to the earlier question about this journey we all have been on, are still on, and will forever be on. I think that's a part of life. It's doing a continuous journey. If you never really reach a destination per se, and that but I think that in the living of your life, you find your purpose. And so for me, it was doing some reflection on my life journey thus far, and I found that I was most joy filled and joyful when I was in education spaces. So education does not necessarily mean just a traditional K-12 or traditional higher education. It can be through mentoring, it can be through coaching, it can be through advising, it can be through consultation or consulting. So for me, it's working with people, helping them reach their full potential. I found I have a stronger connectivity with Black males from inner cities because that was my story, right? Not having a mentor, someone to walk me down the path, and then go after going down the path and learning where not to go, what not to do, and how not to be. I use that information to then pass it along because I believe strongly in the concept of talented 10th. And so my success should be the platform for which my mentees will launch from. And so I needed to be sure that I was doing all that I can do to create a strong platform that was tall enough, if you will, for them to have a nicer launching pad. Not that my launching pad was terrible, it was the journey for me that helped me to get in this space. So all that to say, being able to have the reflective moment and to see that I was most joy filled and joyful when I was in educational spaces, and that's how I believe I found my purpose, and I keep finding myself when it comes to professional opportunities being routed back to education. Whenever I tried to deviate or leave the educational system, again, whether it be K-12, higher ed, or some kind of mentor and advising space, I'm routed back to that. That's what I'm called to do, I believe. And I do it comfortably, without much hesitation or pause.
I think for me, I, I think I just stumbled across my purpose. I don't think I actually like knew what it was or took the time to think about that. It kind of just fell into what it was, and it branched into something else, branched into something else, branched into something else. This is a whole story. All right. So like originally when I came to college, I saw a girl. Her name was Charmaine Beard, and she was wearing a coat. She was wearing a Central State jacket, and I wanted that jacket. Like I wanted that jacket so bad. She had a hat, she had a jacket, she had an umbrella. I remember we were standing in front of the clock tower when I saw her, and I was a freshman, and I stopped and I was like, I want that. And she was like, in order to get this, you got to be a tour guide. Like you have to join this organization to be a tour guide. And so I stumbled into being a tour guide just because I wanted that jacket. And then from there, I stumbled into being in leadership from there. Then from there, I stumbled into recruitment. Then from there, I stumbled into marketing. I stumbled into SGA, which helped me understand what I wanted to do as far as leadership. And then I found my purpose along the way. It wasn't something that just I thought about. I thought I wanted to work at Myers, right? Like I've said that a couple of times, is that when I was in high school, I thought Myers was going to be my goal. They had benefits. They paid $10 an hour, and I was going to make it. And nothing's wrong with working at Myers, but that was my goal. And that was what I would have said my purpose is, just being a cashier. And even when I was in college, the plan was like, I worked at Myers during the breaks, and the plan was afterwards, like I already got a job there, just continue working as a cashier. Maybe I'll be a manager one day at Myers. And so the purpose came just from me pursuing that jacket, right? That's how I found what I wanted to do in life. It started with seeing Charmaine in a jacket that I desperately wanted. And I think a lot of people are like that. I don't feel like a lot of us sit down and read The Purpose-Driven Life. I've read it, but I don't feel like a lot of people do that and try to figure out what you're doing and your whole life goal. I think most of us just stumble along the way. We figure out, hey, I really like this. Let me pursue it. And along with pursuing that, it may not be the thing that is your purpose, but it leads to something else that leads to something else that leads to your purpose in life.
See, so I think we have multiple purposes. And I say that because one, our life is a continuation of a journey. So our life is always us figuring out who we are, figuring out life. I mean, even as we're entering into new decades, we start realizing, okay, who I was 10 years ago is nowhere close to who I am right now. And then recognizing who I will be 10 years from now would most likely be not who I am at this moment. So I think within that, we have multiple purposes. The question is, how does that purpose show up, or how do they show up in different ways to achieve our life's overall goal or purpose? But for me, similar to Wayne, like where I grew up, I'm not supposed to be here. Like it was nobody in my neighborhood who is doing what I'm doing right now. And very few of us from my high school even went to college. Majority of them went to the service. Some went to trades, vocational schools, but I have not. And I've tried to reach out like, hey, where is everybody at? But not many of them are doing what I'm doing. Not many of them. There was nobody I can tell you, anybody who even is working on a doctorate or went to get a master's degree or anything of that nature. So for me, I found my purpose similar to Brandon. It's like I kind of stumbled into it. Like if you would have asked me in high school what I want to do, on one hand, I wanted to be a cosmetologist because I didn't see anybody who was a lawyer, but the other hand, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I wanted to be the female Thurgood Marshall, but I didn't see anyone who looked like me doing that work. But I've seen a ton of cosmetologists who were making a whole lot of money. So for me, it was like, I can do this. So I don't see anybody who looks like me doing anything different. And with me having parents who said, no, you're going to college, and then me being blessed to have teachers who didn't look like me saying, no, you need to go to college. You can do well going to college. That helped me really realize that it was more to just cosmetology. Because literally, had you asked me, I'm going to go get this license to do hair. But then it was them encouraging me to become an RA, to realize I really love student affairs. I love working with people. I love mentoring young people. I love encouraging young women. I love supporting our people. For me to recognize that my purpose is in serving, it's in supporting, it's in encouraging. My purpose is to be a voice and to uplift other individuals. But like Brandon said, like it wouldn't have happened had I not met or I went to school, had people who were encouraging me, had people who were showing me that I can be something different. I can be that path for others who could come behind me. So it's that stumbling. Like I didn't plan to be an RA. I mean, in college, I didn't talk to people. I didn't hang out with anybody. I wasn't going out. I wasn't the active person on campus. But I had to pay for school because I didn't have a scholarship. So if you're an RA, you got the free room and board, and we got a nice check. I don't know what they're doing now, but it was a nice little check. But I had to figure out how to make that happen. So I ended up stumbling into being an RA, which helped me become an RD. And then from there, I just kept going. Like I started seeing people like me and start recognizing I enjoy this. And all the plans I had to go to law school all fell through. So even again, like I had my own plan, but my purpose started drawing me towards where I should be going, where I am right now. So, yeah.
For me, I would say that similar to everybody, my purpose is evolving. I didn't plan to be in higher education. I was planning to go into the health field. Anyone who knows me, my 2 undergraduate degrees and my master's degree are all in health. Like I was on the track, like literally had an acceptance letter to a PhD in health education, had a full ride to get my doctoral degree. And if anybody has done a doctoral degree, having a full ride of it paid for is a good thing, and had a fellowship, like a job. And I walked away from it all to pursue higher education. When I think about that now, that's funny. But I laugh because I remember the day I was actually working on orientation, and I was talking to a young woman, and I was saying, because I was working at my alma mater, University of Toledo, I'm like, you can get involved with any student organization. We have over 200 student organizations. If you can't find one, you can create your own. And literally in that moment, once again, had a full ride prepared, offered to me for a PhD in health education. And that moment of talking to that young lady, I decided to switch my career. There was something within me that said, this is what you want to do the rest of your life. You want to help young people figure out college. And so I switched gears, didn't have a plan. But now that would have been 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago when that happened. And I've been in higher education since that time. But even now, similar to what Z said about your multiple purposes, even now being in higher education, in interaction with a woman that I work with, she said something to me one day. She said, Dr. Krall, I think that you should at lunchtime do a Bible study with a couple of us. I'm like, a Bible study? I just laughed at her. I thought she was joking. But literally like 2 or 3 months later, that was something that God had placed in my heart to start having like Bible studies. So I started doing that last year. It's been over a year now. And I'm learning that there is a purpose connected in that particular vein of serving God. I'm not saying full-time ministry at this present moment in time. I don't know where the purpose will take me, but as my friends have said, like, you started off in one vein and then your purpose is further evolving. And I find myself impacting lives, like literally being able to share my faith with people, helping people, even within the field of higher education that are talking to me about their life and where they are, spiritually, and God allowing me to speak into their life. Like, I feel like that's a part of my purpose, but yet I'm working in higher education. So it's just like this evolving and revelation of things as I go along, which is very fun. It's scary because I thought that my path was going to be, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then, I'm going to do next, and work up the higher education ladder. But now I don't know what it is, and it's exciting. I'm not afraid of that. For my friends who know me, a plan was my comfort. That's my partner, but I'm okay. I feel really good of my purpose being unveiled to me as I live life. So it was definitely, I kind of stumbled into this thing of higher education, which has opened more doors to me discovering who I am and who I'm supposed to be. So very exciting stuff.
If I can add one really quick thing that I would like for folks to take away from this part of the conversation is, I heard this quote or statement years ago, and this kind of stuck with me, and it goes, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And so that quote, while it's simple, it's a little quip. I mean, whatever your faith tradition may be, whoever you pray to, or however you seek your divine direction, tell that person your plan, and you will make that person laugh, because it's really about this divineness. As Z mentioned, all the other folks on the group mentioned, Doc and Brandon. It's these divine moments, these divine interventions that happen that put you back on your path. While you might want to stray in this direction, and then something happens, it's a jacket, it's a person, it's a student you encounter, or whatever the encounter may be, or the moment may be, those kinds of things kind of lead you back to your purpose. Whenever you feel like this is weird, this is crazy, walk into that, because that thing, that event, that moment is really putting you back on your path, or help you to understand or unpack your path. Because what's for you is for you. No one can prescribe it. No one can manifest it except for the one that is your creator, however you define that person. So I just wanted to lift that in this moment, because that's really what it's all about. When you really unpack it and reflect on it, it's about stepping into those divine moments and letting it manifest itself. I'm not saying don't do any work. Definitely gotta do the work, but certainly let life flow. It will all come together. I promise you.
Come on, Bishop Wayne Knox, come in the room.